Jason Palmer, one of the hosts of The Intelligence, The Economist's daily current affairs podcast. The Economist's award-winning shows make sense of what matters, from our special series on China's president to our weekly podcasts on business, technology, and American politics. Our journalists provide fair, in-depth reporting on the events shaping the world. To get the annual plan for less than $2.50 per month, search for Economist Podcasts Plus to start listening today.
Today on CityCast Pittsburgh. It's been one whole year since a train derailed in East Palestine, Ohio. We're talking about where things stand today. A beloved sign has taken back its rightful place on a Pittsburgh hillside. The new and improved Pearl Bowl featured some very special locals, and those portable bathrooms the city was so excited about over the summer, well, they're already going away. It's Tuesday, February 6th. I'm Megan Harris, and here's what Pittsburgh's talking about. I'm with CityCast producer Sophia Lowe. Good morning, Sophia.
Hey, Megan.
So what are Pittsburghers talking about this week?
So many things. We can get right into it. Our first item is actually an update, so not something entirely new.
Yeah, one of the Pittsburgh Potties, the mobile toilet in downtown on Smithfield Street. It is already getting removed.
Boo. We need more public bathrooms. We've talked about this. They should be free and accessible. And I do know this was supposed to be a pilot program, not permanent, but this still feels very sudden and fast, at least to me.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't been up that long. They opened in September, mostly to keep folks from peeing on things, on stoops, on alleyways, sometimes right out in the open. But there's nowhere to pee downtown unless you buy something, so I get it.
Yeah, and we reached out to the Pittsburgh Downtown Partnership about this, and they wrote, the Pittsburgh potty trailers were always planned to be a temporary solution until permanent facilities could be more available. And I want to know what the permanent solution is now if they are taking away the trailers.
Exactly. They say that one of the trailers is going to be replaced by public restrooms on the first floor of the Smithfield Liberty Garage on the Smithfield side. Okay. And that they're going to be open from 7 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night. So make sure you only have to pee then.
And personally, I don't think it's intuitive to be looking for a public bathroom in a parking garage. So I hope there's like very good signage everywhere. If you're listening to us, tell people that they're in the parking garage because I would not look there.
Yeah, I mean, when I first moved to Pittsburgh, I looked for them in parking garages, but like you give up that quest really quickly when you realize that that is a fool's errand. They do say that they're going to have good signage. And I thought that this was really interesting. The parking authority person who manages that garage told one outlet that they're willing to keep the bathrooms open long term as long as the initiative doesn't affect the garage or its customers, which does not sound super promising to me.
Okay, happy O and then more disappointing I guess we'll see what happens. But there are also 2 trailers for the potties. What is happening to the other one? Do we know that?
I mean, according to reporting, the Pittsburgh Potty at the Gateway Center is still there, still safe for now. But they are looking for another option so that they can remove that one too.
Got it. Hopefully, maybe not in a parking garage. Maybe it's somewhere that's easier to find.
Wouldn't that be incredible?
Well, what else should we know from the weekend?
Yeah, so we're observing an unfortunate anniversary this past weekend. Saturday marked 1 year since the Norfolk Southern train derailment in East Palestine. We're oversimplifying, but a lot of toxic chemicals got released. There was a really bad fire. People had to evacuate their homes, and there's been a lot of follow-up. I'm glad for that about what's happened after.
Yeah, lots of local and national reporting on this, and we will have plenty of links in the show notes if you want to get caught up. Lots of different angles.
Yeah, you were reading a ton about this. Was there anything in particular that stood out to you?
Yeah, in terms of local reporting, I really appreciated Oliver Morrison's work.
Yeah.
He's been reporting for WSA, and he spent a lot of time talking to folks in East Palestine. And he's written an article about the different ways people in the area have reacted to the disaster and all of this trauma that comes with something like that.
Yeah.
It was really thoughtful and covers so many perspectives from people who are still demanding answers and have environmental concerns, and some folks who are ready to move past this. And one angle I thought that was really interesting was just kind of how this divide played out in like the local mayor's race.
Oh, yeah. I haven't read that yet. I will. Thank you for the recommendation. And obviously, the immediate aftermath of the derailment was just devastating on its face. NPR reports that so far, Norfolk Southern, the train company, has paid more than $800 million in the wake of all this.
That is a hard number to pin down to. I've seen other outlets like the AP report close to $1 billion being spent.
I wonder what all of that includes. Like, I mean, I'm sure it's going to so many different places.
Yeah, like some of that money they've been spending on cleanup and legal fees. And the companies also put money into the East Palestine community. So like schools, a new park, that kind of thing.
Good.
Yes.
I mean, in terms of those environmental concerns, the EPA says that it's safe to drink the water, safe to breathe the air, but that the cleanup process isn't done. I really enjoyed reporting on this really since the whole story broke that from the Allegheny Front. They have podcasts and a weekend radio show on 90.5 FM here in Pittsburgh, if you're not familiar. They've published a ton of stuff, but something recent, there's this stream or creek in East Palestine with sediment contamination. Definitely check that out for the particulars. I thought it was so interesting, like how they're kind of weaving that story, but also talking about like the logistical challenge of dealing with this thing.
Yeah, same. I saw that piece too. Definitely also plus one in your recommendation for the Allegheny Front. And I've read a bunch about people saying that they're still getting headaches, their eyes are burning, they have other symptoms from kind of being around that area and just in East Palestine in general.
But regulators say that the stream, its name is Sulphur Run, that it's quote unquote recovering.
But one person who lived there described like pushing into the stream bed and watching oil pool up, like that shiny stuff that you see at the gas station, and that sounds not safe. So definitely still more that needs to be done.
Yeah, and of course there have been lawsuits too.
Yes, one from the state of Ohio. The state filed a lawsuit against Norfolk Southern, but obviously, as we've mentioned before, these kinds of legal battles can really get dragged out.
Mm-hmm. So the derailment was in February. That suit popped up last March. And then a few days ago, the Ohio Attorney General's office released a statement about the whole situation. But it's mostly about how they're looking into the root causes of the derailment, not as much about the lawsuit. So I'm sure there's going to be more another day.
Yeah, it was surprising to me how it's been a year and they're still looking into those root causes. But I have no clue how long this kind of investigation takes.
Nor I.
Yeah, and there is also some legislation that's been introduced to make sure that this kind of disaster doesn't happen again.
Yet another thing with a whole lot of steps. But yes, the Railway Safety Act was supposed to create more safety requirements for trains carrying anything hazardous. But it was introduced last March and just made it to committee in December. So now we're in an election year and neither party wants to support anything that might make the other side look good. So personally, I don't really have any hopes for this.
That's really disappointing. I mean, fingers crossed still.
Same, honestly.
That would be really great. And Biden has also said that he's going to be visiting East Palestine, but I don't think that's officially been scheduled yet. So we'll be keeping an eye on that and any more important developments. And like we said, links in the show notes. I know we covered a lot of information fast, but there's been a lot that's happened over the course of a year.
Shipping can make or break a sale, so optimize how you ship your orders with ShipStation. They make it easy to automate and manage orders no matter how big your business grows. And they might even be able to help reduce shipping and warehouse costs. So optimize and keep up your momentum for growth with ShipStation. Sign up for your free 60-day trial now at ShipStation.com and use the code POD. That's ShipStation.com with the code POD.
There's a big difference between talking and reporting, especially right now with a fire hose worth of news coming your way. You know what helps? Having reporters in the field. I'm Brad Milkey from ABC News, and that's what we've got on ABC's daily podcast, Start Here. Every morning, Start Here takes you across the country and around the world for a quick, smart look at the stories that matter. It's fast, it's straightforward, and sometimes, gasp, news can even be fun. So let's meet up tomorrow morning. Listen to Start Here wherever you get your podcasts.
Let's move on to something fun. The Iron City beer sign is back.
Yes, and it's beloved red and white. I guess one change is that it says Iron City now instead of Iron City Beer, but newsletter editor Francesca DeBecco is guessing it's because they also make whiskey now. We've mentioned before in our food show that the company's opened up a distillery, but back to this sign announcement.
Yeah, it was sort of low key. Last week, Iron City Beer posted a picture on their Instagram of the sign back up on that hillside at Mount Washington, kind of close to the Duquesne Incline.
Yeah.
I loved the caption. It was just, quote, "We back."
Short and simple. Since I haven't been here that long and I'm not a huge beer drinker, I don't have a ton of thoughts or feelings, but I like it when other people in the city are happy. Megan, are you glad to see it back?
I mean, I don't have strong feelings about the Iron City beer sign. Like, the origins of that are well before my time. I really liked when it was an alarm clock. It looked like an old school alarm clock that you'd see on your parents' bedside in like the 70s and 80s. But yeah, did you ever see a picture of that? I know that was before your time.
No, and honestly, I can like kind of imagine what alarm clock you're talking about from like TV shows, but I never owned anything like that.
I mean, I didn't either. Mine was more Y2K inspired, but we still had a lot of old alarm clocks in the fam. Honestly, it just had great utility. Like, if you don't know the time, that's fine. Just look up.
I could see how that would be helpful. Don't have to like shove all my hands in my pockets looking for my phone. Who knows? Maybe that'll make a comeback one day too. And looks like someone at least agrees with you that the sign needs some electrical component. A comment on Instagram said it looks like cardboard, which yes, it is not the most fancy sign out there, and that the sign needs to be lit up. So, I mean, I know you just said you were an alarm clock stan, but if the sign was cuter, had lights, was more about beer, would you be more enthused, or do you not want ads on hills?
I mean, I think like the whole ads on buildings, ads on hills is like a slippery slope, kind of. Like, I don't want, the one is fine, but it always like makes me wonder, like, are they ever going to allow another one? There are weird rules about that in Pittsburgh, though. Maybe we'll get into that on a future pod.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's very nice is all the hills and the greenery, so I would also be upset if it turned into a giant ad. You know, I know you talked about the history of the sign over the summer when went down and that black and gold Cheer Pittsburgh, Drink Pittsburgh one went up. Seemed like people weren't a huge fan of that. And I was really surprised that y'all talked about that cite has been used for some kind of billboard situation since 1921. That is far longer than I would have expected.
Yeah, shout out to Francesca for digging all of that up. Apparently, that spot beats out the huge Hollywood letter signs by about 2 years.
Yeah.
So she never found out what actually went up first here in Pittsburgh, like in that spot. But the Pittsburgh Brewing Company has had the hill. I guess they first had the hill from 1938 to the mid-50s. And when it was installed, it was the world's largest neon sign. So there was an electrical component to start, at least.
Yes, I love that large neon sign was repping beer.
You would. There have been a bunch of other ads there over the years. Like Ocoa Bayer was there for a while. I remember that one. Sprint. And then, of course, Iron City reclaimed their spot back in 2020.
And I just wanted to see what people thought about, you know, this latest return. I'm always poking around Reddit because I love hot takes and internet drama.
Which we appreciate. You are always full of the goss.
Thank you. And obviously there's a post in the Pittsburgh Reddit about the sign coming back now. And you're not the only person missing the clock.
Really?
Yeah. You are not the only one. The top comment is not about Iron City. It is not about beer. The top comment is about how, quote, I want that shit back, and shit as in clock. But
yes.
The comment also mentioned the clock had the temperature and like trivia facts. Is that true?
Okay, I don't remember that. Maybe it was a different incarnation of the clock. Maybe we had multiple clocks. I have no idea.
Well, trivia fact sounds really fun.
I just really liked that when there were big city events like the 4th of July fireworks or New Year's Eve, everyone's standing on their porch, staring at the same spot on the point. We were all synchronized, you know? Like if the city said that fireworks went off at 9:30 p.m., the dudes on the barge that were lighting them off could see when the clock struck 9:30. There was no question. You knew when it was happening.
That's true, but I'm also like late to things, and that feels more embarrassing if there's a giant clock and I'm like, oops, sorry, lost track of time.
You make a fair point.
But, you know, hearing all these like iterations and everything, I think maybe the sign from 1938 would have been my favorite. We'll link a photo of it. It also had these like beer glasses on the side that apparently like filled up from the bottom.
When you first said that, beer glasses, I was imagining the like beer goggles thing, not like actual like clink glasses.
Oh, no, these are like clink glasses. I would have said
Yes.
bottles, but that would have been inaccurate. The sign really has more glasses that you drink from.
Yeah.
But that feels very Roku City, something you'd see in a cartoon, and I want to live my life like I'm a little cartoon character. Plus, that one also had a clock, supposedly, Megan, so something for you too.
True. I have now seen the photos. I know better. Clocks for everyone. Just not an analog one. We do have another clock still, like where Ascend, that climbing gym, is in the old Duquesne bottling plant on the south side. My only issue, though, is that it's not centrally located enough. Like it's not visible from the point. So I want the point one back.
Well, it's Pittsburgh, so what comes around often comes back. So I'm really rooting for you, Megan.
Well, before we go, one super quick sportsy thing. Not about any of our big teams, though. It's about local kids at the NFL Pro Bowl.
I don't know what the Pro Bowl is, but I'm hearing local kids, so I imagine this is going to be cute.
I think it's cute. So for most sports, the Pro Bowl, All-Star game, whatever, it happens in the middle of the season. But football always does it sort of at the end, and it's not done great the last few years.
You mean like the ratings or the teams were bad? Like, what does that mean?
So the teams weren't bad exactly. They just didn't seem to be trying that hard. Like it's a weird moment in the season to be doing it. I found this ESPN post-game story from 2012 that said that the players were, quote, hitting each other as though they were having a pillow fight. Which like really paints a picture. I've never watched the Pro Bowl until this year. And which speaks to the ratings question because they were also tanking. I guess it's just that there wasn't anything at stake, you know? So they retooled it last year into the, quote, Pro Bowl games, and some Pittsburghers were there to represent this weekend.
Well, I feel like the name Pro Bowl games sounds less serious. Like, I'm sure I couldn't play, but like, could I play?
I mean, maybe. Like the main game, for example, is flag football now.
Oh, I did that in high school as part of mandatory gym class. Like,
did you have a lot of mandatory gym class? We had one freshman year. You had 4 years?
Yes.
Oh, in the South, they didn't care. They were like, one and done. You're good.
I mean, I basically stood to the side and kind of did a little back and forth, but no good. I was no good.
Well, I mean, speaking to our professional athletes, there were 3 Steelers that were chosen for that main flag football game. Minka Fitzpatrick, TJ Watt, both defense, and then a dude from special teams, the only special teams player for our conference, Miles Killebrew. I think it's hilarious that there were no offensive players. That really speaks volumes about our current team. But there were a bunch of really stupid games for the professionals, too. The list is wild.
What do you mean? I want to hear the list now.
This is the part I thought you might like. So some are normal football things like passing, catching, snapping to a target, that kind of thing. Some were football skills applied to a very unconventional idea.
This sounds silly. I want to hear it. I cannot wait.
So I think the one that might speak to you, it was called kick-tack-toe, where kickers from each conference tried to complete a tic-tac-toe line on a giant board on the field. I did not watch a video of this, but it sounds wild.
That does sound fun. That does not something like I could do, but it sounds like something I would definitely watch.
Yeah. And that was the idea, right? Like to get ratings up. There was also a tug of war, something called Move the Chains, where they had to move thousands of pounds of plates off a bar and then across a line as a team. It looked like something from the CrossFit Games. a relay race, dodgeball, this golfing thing for some reason, and then I think you would really like this one, a gaming component, a video game thing, where teams of 2 had to play Madden against each other using just the Pro Bowl roster.
The golfing thing is really funny to me. I don't know why. Like, that feels very random to throw in as, like, here's the one extra sport.
And did they dig a hole in the field? Like, I'm confused. But back to the Pittsburgh kids. So there's children's flag football. There's like a whole league. And we have a team here called the Pittsburgh Elite. They had a couple of squads make the trip down to Orlando for the Pro Bowl this weekend. And it looks like they had a lot of fun.
Yeah, how'd they do?
Well, so the tournament website, I assume, managed at least to some degree by the NFL, leaves a lot to be desired. They should improve that. The URL looks fake. But at least one of the Pittsburgh Elite teams seems to have made it to the championship.
Yay.
They have videos of all their games online, like the NFL site does, and they're surprisingly decent. Like, they have in-game announcers, there's good audio quality, even the scores have like nice pretty graphics like real teams. But the championship game cuts off when we are at the goal line and down by 7. So I have no idea whether we won.
No.
Maybe we won, maybe we lost. I am in suspense because this video just ends.
So I guess if anyone was there or you know someone who was there, please let us know.
Yes, please. A friend of the pod, Tracy, emailed us about this. Tracy, I am dying here. Please update us on the kids. Also, the Pittsburgh Elite website looks like they're hosting squad tryouts soon. So those are $25, and there are different age groups for boys and girls. For boys, it's ages 7 to 15. There's like different brackets for ages. And then for girls, it looks like there's just one squad, ages 13 to 15. So those tryouts are coming up later this month. It's February 17th and 18th, and we will post a link to that in the show notes.
Wait, before you go, have you played flag football? I know you did like a lot of sports things when you moved here to make friends. I don't know if this is something you've tried too.
Oh, I played a ton of sports when I was younger, not particularly well. But no, I never played flag football.
What?
I was much nerdier, Sophia. I have had fantasy football teams since I was in primary school, I think. And maybe most succinctly for my personality, my very first bylines were actually as the 7th and 8th grade football sideline reporter.
That's amazing.
I had my post-game stories published in the town newspaper. I did not get paid.
Well, I hope they're paying some little kid now who will become a reporter one day. That'd be fun. Full circle.
It's solidly community news, but I really still love reading it. Thank you so much, Sophia. This was fun.
Yeah, this was. Thanks, Megan.
That's all for today here on CityCast Pittsburgh. If you haven't yet, please check out our website. It's pittsburgh.citycast.fm, and it's full of all our past shows and most of the great stuff that Francesca writes for the Hey Pittsburgh newsletter. Of course, there is always more for subscribers. Don't forget, please check it out, pittsburgh.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Talk to you soon.
Big yawn.
Yep, that's how we start the day.